Welcome to Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome to this session, Self-Reliance and Self-Sufficiency. This is part of the course MGPE 006, Gandhi's Economic Thought. I am Dr. G. Uma, faculty in the School of Gender and Development Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Let us start with introducing the topic. First, I will say winners do not do different things. They do things differently. Many of the conceptions Gandhi used, developed and made popular were now not new. Gandhi claimed no originality for himself. He said, quote, "I have nothing new to teach the world. Truth and non-violence are as old as hills." This was quoted in the Harijan in the year 1936 and page number 49. Originality does not always lie in inventing new ideas. It also lies in giving old ideas to the new meanings and made practical and popularized. Swadeshi was one of the such ideas which was not new. Much before Gandhi, political reformers had talked of reviving indigenous industries. India had centuries long tradition of indigenous industries. According to R.C. Dutt's Poverty of India under British rule depicts it effectively, about which Gandhi said that when he read it, he was so powerfully affected that he began to shed tears. They felt that unless there was a revival of indigenous industry, the masses of India would remain poor. The Swadeshi movement received a great impetus during the agitation of the partition of Bengal in the year 1905 and was characterized by a great deal of emotion and sentiments. During the partition days, patriots could weave beautiful words, but they could not produce articles of use. The result was that merchants passed off imported goods as India made. Early in 1919, a meeting was arranged between Gandhi and a patriotic mill owner. They later told Gandhi, quote, "You are aware that in the days of partition, that is during the partition of Bengal, the mill owner fully exported the Swadeshi movement. When it was at its height, I raised the price of cloth and did even worse things. We are not conducting our business out of philanthropy, we do it for profit." Unquote. This was quoted by the Kripalini in 1967. Based on this introduction, aims and objective of this today's lecture is that after listening this lecture and studying this unit, you should be able to discuss the Gandhian concepts of self-reliance and self-sufficiency and examine the relevance of Gandhi's concepts of Swadeshi in the contemporary world. With these aims and objectives, let us start understanding and elaborating, and let us start understanding the Swadeshi, Swadharma and Swabhava. Gandhi's conception of Swadeshi was very identical to that of Swadharma in the Gita. This Swadharma depends upon Swabhava, one's fundamental nature. People must follow in life such avocations as would not do violence to this nature. Gita says, quote, "One's own dharma, though imperfect, is better than the dharma of another well performed. The dharma of another is fraught with fear." Unquote. Gandhi says of this, quote, "Interpreted in terms of one's physical environment, this gives us the law of Swadeshi. Swadeshi is Swadharma applied to one's own immediate environment." This was again quoted, unquote. In a speech delivered before Missionary Conference in Madras on 14th February 1916, he defined Swadeshi in the following terms. According to Gandhi, Swadeshi is that spirit in us which restricts us to the use and service of our immediate surroundings to the exclusion of the more remote. Thus, as for religion, in order to satisfy the requirement of definition, I must restrict myself to ancestral religion, that is the use of my immediate surroundings. If I find it defective, I should serve it by purging it of its defects. In domain of politics, I should make use of the indigenous institutions and serve them by curing them, by serving them, by curing them of their proved defects. In that of economics, I should use only things that are produced by my immediate neighbors and serve those industries by making them efficient and complete where they might be found wanting. Unquote. This was quoted in CWMG volume number 13. As Dr. Gopinath Dhawan noted, Gandhi's views on Swadeshi seem to have undergone an evolution. This was quoted by Dhawan in 1951. A study of his address delivered at the Missionary of Conference in Madras in 1916 shows that he then stood for total self-sufficiency of the country and its economic isolation from world. Referring to the external trade, he said, quote, "Much of the deep poverty of the masses is due to the ruinous departure from Swadeshi in the economic and industrial life. If not an article of commerce had been brought from outside, she would be today a land flowing with milk and honey." Unquote. Next, let us see whether Gandhi is against foreign trade or Gandhi is very strict to the developing the indigenous knowledge, indigenous industrialization, indigenous production. So, to understand further in this topic, we will again elaborate under the heading "Not Against Foreign Trade." In 1926, Gandhi wrote, quote, "I have never considered the exclusion of everything foreign under every conceivable circumstances as part of Swadeshi. The broad definition of Swadeshi is the use of all homemade things to the exclusion of foreign things insofar as such use is necessary for the protection of home industry, more especially those industries without which India will become pauperized. In my opinion, therefore, Swadeshi, which excludes the use of everything foreign, no matter how beneficent it may be, is a narrow interpretation of Swadeshi." Unquote. This was Gandhi written in Young India in the year 1926. From the excerpts of Yerwada Mandir, we read, quote, "To reject foreign manufacturers because they are foreign and go on wasting national time and money in promotion in one's country of manufacture for which it is not suited would be criminal folly and a negation of Swadeshi spirit." Unquote. Again, I will repeat this sentence because it is very important to understand the concept of Swadeshi. From the excerpts of Yerwada Mandir, we read, quote, "To reject foreign manufacturers because they are foreign and go on wasting national time and money in promotion in one's own country of manufacture for which it is not suited would be criminal folly and a negation of Swadeshi spirit." Unquote. This was quoted by Gandhi in 1957. Again, I am quoting from Rajagopalachari, quote, "I would not wish India to live a life of complete isolation whereby it would live in watertight compartments and allow nobody to enter her borders or to trade within her border." That is quoted by Rajagopalachari. From this quote, from whatever Gandhi wrote about Swadeshi, we should understand that Swadeshi is not about complete isolation from foreign trade, completely negating or neglecting the import from the other countries, I would like to explain Sudesi in a simple term for our learners and listeners. Learners, Sudesi is that, for example, if India can produce certain agriculture produces, it is better to use the indigenous agriculture produces instead of importing the same. For example, I will tell you, if we can able to produce a fruit in India and it is sufficient to distribute throughout the country, and within India we can able to trade, then it is unnecessary to import the same fruit from the other countries and just because it is produced in some other nation. That is the important thing. Whatever we can able to produce, whatever we can able to sustain within ourselves, it is important to use our local produce, and we can use our indigenous knowledge to convert that local produce into the value added products. At the same time, for example, if this particular products or particular agriculture produce, or if the manufacturing goods or something, goods and services, if India is not able to do that, if we do not have that much expertise, or if it is depending on some other countries for the knowledge of produce the same thing, it is very well we can borrow the knowledge and we can produce either indigenously or we can very well import from the other countries. So, according to Rajagopalachari, it is not about very strict watertight compartments that India never allow anybody to enter into the country. After explaining this concept, again I will repeat the Rajagopalachari's quote as he wrote in 1957, quote, "I would not wish India to live a life of complete isolation whereby it would live in watertight compartments and allow nobody to enter her borders or to trade within her border." He defined Sudesi articles as any article which, quote, "subserves the interest of the millions even though the capital and talent are foreign but under effective Indian control," unquote. Harijan in the year 1969. What was meant by effective control? What industry could satisfy Gandhi as being Indian? First thing is that he clearly stated that in an article about the Sudesi, quote, "subserves the interest of the millions even though the capital and talent are foreign but under effective Indian control." That is what I have explained. For example, if we lack knowledge on certain produce, or if we are not able to produce the certain commodities, India can very well borrow that particular knowledge and we can able to produce indigenously. That can be done. So, with this background, we need to raise two questions. What was meant by effective control, and what industry could satisfy Gandhi as being Indian? To answer this question, I have taken quote, "An industry to be Indian must be demonstrably in the interest of the masses. It must be manned by Indians both skilled and unskilled. Its capital and machinery should be Indian, and the labor employed should have a living wage and be comfortably housed, while the welfare of the children of the laborers should be guaranteed by the employers. This is an ideal definition," unquote. So, if I again repeat this quote, learners, you will be certainly understand about the term Sudesi as far as what Gandhi is meant. Quote, "An industry to be Indian must be demonstrably in the interest of the masses." So, any industry, it should serve the interest of the Indian masses. It must be manned by Indians both skilled and unskilled. Its capitals and machinery should be Indian, and the labor employed should have a living wage and be comfortably housed, while the welfare of the children of the laborers should be guaranteed by the employers. This is the ideal definition, unquote. Hope now all of you understood what Gandhi meant Sudesi. As P. Spratt reminds us, quote, his support is not no doubt likely to benefit the capitalist rather than anybody else, but he does not advocate with that intention. His protection is a village's protection designed to help the effort for self-sufficiency, not that for profits, unquote. This was quoted by Spratt in the year 1937. So, as Spratt analyzed, we would able to understand that Gandhi is not supporting the capitalist rather than anybody who is interested to produce indigenously, who is interested to employ Indians, both skilled and unskilled employers, whose capital and machinery should be Indian, and the labor, when he runs any production unit, the owner should take care of the laborer, and he or she should be given should give the wage comfortably to their skilled and unskilled people, while the welfare of the children of the laborers and whoever working in the particular industry or particular institution should be guaranteed by the employers. This is the ideal definition. So, as far as Gandhi is concerned, Swadesi means it should be indigenously produced, they have to appoint indigenous laborers, they should be take care of the laborers and their children, they should ensure the welfare of the everyone in their particular setup, and this is the ideal situation what Gandhi talk about the Swadesi. Then let us next move to the principle of neighborhood. We have duties, all human beings irrespective of male, female, other genders, everyone have a duties to all humankind, and but the duties we owe to all segments of it are not of equal importance. There is a hierarchy of duties based on the degree of proximity. Proximity is the decisive element in forming ties in terms of both closeness of feelings and knowledge of circumstances. Now again I would like to quote, our capacity for service is limited by our knowledge of the world in which we live, unquote. Accordingly, we must start with service to our neighbors, and individual service to this country, to his country or to her country, and humanity consisted in serving his or her neighbors. For the same reason, the principle of neighborhood according to Gandhi was neither metaphysical nor too philosophical for comprehension, but just good common sense, for if you love your neighbor as thyself, he will be likewise with you and both you would gain thereby. This was quoted in volume 60 in the CWMG. The neighborhood principle has a direct consequences for the interpretation of ethical preferences in terms of Swadesi, as I have mentioned that the neighborhood concept is the extension of the concept Swadesi, namely that whenever local products are available, they should be preferred to their imported counterparts. Whether the latter was imports from foreign countries or from other regions of the same country made no difference. From around 1919 onwards, Gandhi spelt out this moral imperative of local buying in much detail using numerous specific examples. That is the Gandhi's wish, that he always encourages masses to buy the products from their own neighborhood. Again I would like to quote, there are several Swadesi things on the market which are in danger of disappearance for want of patronage. They may not be up to the mark. It is up to us to use them and require the makers to improve them whenever improvement is possible, unquote. Here we can clearly understood the Gandhi's wish that even though many Swadesi products may not be up to the mark and it needs to be improvement, but everyone should use the Swadesi products, because many of the products in danger of disappearance. After we use them, we need to suggest, we need to share our suggestions to the makers to improve the products whenever there is a need for improvement. So, once they started, many people started buying that, then they started providing the suggestions. It is up to the makers to improve their products and fulfill the expectation of everyone. India produces a sufficient quantity of leather, example he has given. It is therefore a duty on the part of the Indian consumer to wear shoes made of Indian leather in preference to foreign leather shoes, even if they are comparatively dearer and foreign and of an inferior quality. For the same reason, products of Indian textile, sugar or rice mills must be preferred to the corresponding foreign product. Sudesi items should not be discarded in favor of better or cheaper foreign things, for comparison of price or quality are not relevant for the kind of consumer's choice Gandhi is talking about, but patriotism is. Again, I would like to quote from him, quote, "We attend flag hoisting ceremonies and are proud of our national flag. Let me tell you that our pride has no meaning if you don't like things made in India and hanker after foreign ones." Unquote. That is the thing. Like we every day we talk about the patriotism, we hoist the flag, we attend many national flag hoisting ceremony, we attend many functions related to our country, but according to Gandhi, that is okay, that is very proud of ourselves, we are attending the program. At the same time, Gandhi wishes all of us to use the products produced in India rather than hanging around the foreign ones. That is the very important according to Gandhi. Again, I would like to quote from Gandhi, quote, "I buy useful healthy literature from every part of the world. I buy surgical instruments from England, pins and pencils from Austria and watches from Switzerland." Unquote. For the same reason, in his president address at Belgaum, the Congress meeting on December 26, 1924, he asserts, unquote, "All British goods do not harm us. Some goods such as English books we need for our intellectual or spiritual benefit." Unquote. That is what Gandhi says, that at least we can use the books related to English can be used for our intellectual and spiritual benefit. While upholding the principles of patriotic preference, Gandhi was at pains to explain that the spirit of Sudesi was not vindictive. Exclusion of foreign goods was not intended as the punishment, it was necessary of natural existence. Nor was it narrow or parochial, for I buy from every part of the world what is needed for my growth. But by the same token, quote, "I refuse to buy from anybody anything, however nice or beautiful, if it interferes with my growth or injures those whom nature has made my first care." That is, he wrote in Young India in the year 1925. Not all foreign things therefore was to be excluded, but only certain foreign things, especially cloth. Gandhi attached considerable moral importance to this distinction. Quote, "If the emphasis were on all foreign things, it would be racial, parochial and wicked. The emphasis is on all foreign cloth, the restrictions makes all the difference in the world." Unquote. Equally, the ethics of Swadeshi required that the exclusion should not be targeted at British cloth only. It applied just as much, say, to the import of cloth from Japan, which was rapidly increasing during the 1930s. How can I take the single yard of Japanese cloth, however fine and artistic it may be? It is poison to us, for it means starvation of the poor people of India. So, based on this lecture, hope you understood everything about the Sudesi, what Gandhi is intended with regard to Sudesi. So, based on this lecture, what we understood is that Gandhi is not against import of certain things from other countries. He clearly stated that. Like for example, he is against importing clothes from England. At the same time, he clearly says that we can use the English language books to improve our intellectual capacity. Like that, he is not only against importing clothes from Britain, he is against importing clothes from other countries also. Dear learners and listeners and viewers, you must be wondering, we are living in the age of globalization. How is it possible to reject all foreign goods? Let us do these things in a very conscious manner. That is why in the beginning itself I clearly pointed out that, for example, apple, India can also produce the apple, at the same time many countries they can also produce the apple, and either we can use the apple, we can eat the apple produced within our countries, or at the same time we can eat the apple imported from other countries. If you look at the nutritional benefits of the fruit grown in India and the same fruit imported from other countries, mostly nutritional benefits, nutritional contents are the same. As far as the fruit produced in India, we will get in a much cheaper rate, and we will get a fresh one. At the same time, the same fruit, if you import from some other countries, they need to preserve and they need to transport, and after transporting in our country, being India is being a vast country, it has to distribute it in various places. So, by the time it reaches the consumer, mostly we do not get fresh fruit. Instead, it is preserved and we get in a preserved food only. So, whether it is a nutritional value or by getting a fruit in a fresh manner, it is better to eat a locally produced food. Like we can able to produce locally, we can able to consume locally, it is consciously, even in the era of globalization, we need to do it in a conscious manner. At the same time, certain things if India is not able to produce, we can very well use the foreign products to improve our intellectual capacity. Hope the learners you would be able to understand the Gandhian view of Swadeshi and the principles of Gandhian view of Swadeshi and the principles of neighborhood. This will clearly give us the idea about what Gandhi thought what Gandhi taught us on Swadeshi. So, it is individuals' conscious decision to reject the products produced and imported from the foreign countries. Thank you so much.